If you're in college and you live full-time in an on-campus dorm, odds are that you do not get utility bills in your name. You're in an on-campus dorm run by your school. In most cases, your electricity and heat and everything else are folded into the overall cost of your room and board that you pay to your college as part of the cost of going to school. You also very well might not have a driver's license. If you're a full-time college student living on campus, yeah, you might have a car, but in a lot of places, that is not the norm. Personally, I got my driver's license about 30 seconds after I turned 16. I saved up money from working and bought a car in high school even before I turned 16, so it was ready for me the second I got my license. I was desperate to drive as a teenager. But when I went to college, I did not have a car there, and I don't even think I kept my driver's license current while I was in college. Even though college students live life differently than they might otherwise live it if they weren't full-time students, the Supreme Court has ruled clear as day that college students have the right to vote where they go to school. College students can vote where they go to college, except maybe not in North Carolina. Last week, the Republican Party chairman from Pasquotank County in North Carolina brought a challenge to the local elections board there, saying that a student from the local historically black college should not be allowed to run for office in the county because he couldn't be considered a local resident. The evidence against this student, in part, is that he doesn't have any utility bills with his name on them, which of course he doesn't have because he lives in the dorms at school. The newly appointed Republican majority on the local elections board sided with the Republican Party chairman, and they disqualified that young man from running for office. The same challenge would also block his right to vote in that county. The Republican Party chairman now says that he will try to go after voting rights for all of the students at that local black college in Elizabeth City using the same kind of residency challenge. He says, in fact, that Republicans should do that statewide, given the success he's already had against the students at Elizabeth City. He told the Associated Press, quote, "I plan to take this show on the road." That was Tuesday of last week. On Monday of last week, the Republican governor of North Carolina, Pat McCrory, signed a new law that says you can't vote in North Carolina unless you show a government-issued photo ID. And government-issued student photo IDs do not count for some reason. Hundreds of thousands of North Carolinians who are legal voters are thought to not have the ID that they will need in order to vote now. On Monday night last week, it was over in Watauga County, in North Carolina, where the newly appointed Republican majority on the local elections board there voted to shut down the voting and early voting location at the Appalachian State University Student Union. That precinct, which was obviously convenient for students who wanted to vote, that precinct was at a school where the students have had a pesky proclivity for both voting and for voting Democratic. So they are shutting that one down. Now today, it's Forsyth County, North Carolina, where the newly appointed Republican majority elections board there says they also want to get rid of the voting sites at their local historically black college, which is Winston-Salem State University. So shut them down at Appalachian State. Shut them down at historically black Elizabeth City. Shut them down at historically black Winston-Salem State. Shut them down. This has all happened in the past week. Voting rights under assault at warp speed in North Carolina, and it is more than just the new statewide law. Republicans in North Carolina are cracking down on the right to vote systematically, county by county, across the state. The Republicans took over state government in November. That gave them the power to take over the voting process in every county in the state. And we are witness now to their reaping what they sowed, county by county, school by school, shutting it down. One Democratic state senator has decided that she has had enough. But in order to fight what is happening in her state right now, interestingly, she has decided to quit her job as a state senator. Ellie Kinnaird has been a senator in North Carolina since 1997. She's 81 years old, and she has been in the Senate for more than 16 years. But today she announced that she is resigning her seat. Quote, "What led me to this decision are the actions taken by the Republican majority in the legislature that has been a shocking reversal of the many progressive measures that I and many others have worked so hard to enact. Measures that over the years have made North Carolina a model of moderate to progressive, pro-business, but also pro-people public policy in the South." From the Republicans' denial of health care security for our people, to their failure to promote a vibrant workforce through support for our education systems, from their tax cuts for the wealthy and their tax increases for the poor and middle class, to their efforts to deny people their right to vote, they've been pursuing a divisive and, I think, immoral agenda, she says. I'm heartened, however, though, by the many grassroots efforts to fight. And it is here that I want and need to put my energy and efforts. I'm working with others on a grassroots project to make sure everyone in the state has a proper voter ID so that no votes are denied, even though the voter ID bill is aimed at exactly that, repressing the vote. I'm going to work for candidates in the next election who reflect our values. I look forward to working together to change this course and restore our state to the shining beacon it was for so long. She's 81 years old. She is leaving her job as an elected official, as a state senator, to fight instead from the outside. At age 81, this is a person I want to meet. Joining us now is Ellie Kinnaird. She resigned her state Senate seat today in North Carolina. Senator Kinnaird, thank you very much for being with us tonight. I know you've had a very busy day.
Thank you for inviting me.
So why quit the state Senate? What do you think that you can accomplish outside the legislature that you have not been able to accomplish within it?
Well, first of all, I can't accomplish anything in this next session. We have 2-year terms. The first session has the budget and then also big bills like this voter ID bill. And the second just comes back to tweak the budget and finish up some unfinished business. But for my situation, I can't do anything because I'm one of only 17 Democrats out of 50. So I know that what we've got to do to turn this around is to make sure that people know that they have a photo ID that is approved, and it's a very narrow group of things that are allowed. And then beyond that, to make sure that people are registered to vote, and most importantly, that they know what precinct they're going to vote in. It used to be if you came to the wrong precinct on election day, what happened was you got a provisional ballot. But now it's the exact opposite. Your vote doesn't even count. That will have a great impact on students and other people because they've split so many precincts. People honestly don't know where they vote.
You have been in the North Carolina Senate for over 15 years. You've seen a lot in North Carolina politics. It's a striking and dramatic decision for me to see you as such an experienced legislator decide that the way to work on this is outside the system. How radical have the changes been that led you to this decision? How big a deal is this recent move?
Well, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was really the voter ID bill, which is going to greatly impact African Americans and other minorities, which is also going to impact low-income people who may not have a driver's license. And it also, as I said, really impacts the students, and that is a very significant group of people who are mostly voting Democrats. So this is a very blatant and obvious way to suppress the vote of those who would not keep them in office.
In terms of some of what we are seeing with the students and the suppression of their right to vote, I'm thinking specifically about that case with the young man Montravius King at Elizabeth City, that historically black college on the East Coast, North Carolina. And that seems to me, the tactics being used against students there just seem blatantly unconstitutional. The Supreme Court has said that students have a right to vote where they go to school, but Republicans are systematically challenging that now. Should we expect that there's also going to be a big legal fight over these matters in North Carolina?
I think that's one more legal fight. We already have a number already in the courts. But what is more serious is that in one county where one of our major universities is located, they have moved the voting site, which was for early voting, on the campus and consolidated all of them into one precinct, which means that all of those students who are voting on the campus in early voting, all the staff, all the faculty, and all the townspeople will now be in one voting site. And of course, that's really going to suppress it. And I'm almost positive they are going to do this all throughout the state, so that what happens is every college town, and we have 17 universities and about 35 private colleges, they will challenge that now. They will take away those early voting sites where all the students and faculty and staff voted, and they vote high quantity Democrats, and so we're very worried about that.
Former State Senator Ellie Kinnaird, who resigned her seat today in order to take this fight outside the legislature and throughout the state. Senator Kinnaird, thank you very much for helping us understand your decision tonight, and good luck to you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. There has been a lot of